What's going on, people? Jordan here. Today I wanted to do a tutorial on the basics of music production so that you can get started on your musical journey. So we're going to be using FL Studio Producer Edition today. Um, let's open up a new instance of FL Studio with the new basic 808 with limiter. So when you open up FL Studio, it's always going to open up with the limiter. And the limiter is in the mixer, and the mixer is just here. The limiter basically stops sounds from going over a certain volume. I always recommend that to not delete the mixer or the limiter, sorry, off the master mix. You're wondering what the master mix is. The master mix basically, if you put anything on the master mix, let's say you wanted to add some flanger or some chorus or some reverb, if you put it on the master, it's going to affect every single sound in your deck. So if you've got drums, it will affect the drums. If you've got a pad, it will affect the pad. It will just affect everything. So the limiter is basically limiting the whole song to a certain ceiling, which you can decrease and increase at will. You can right click and click reset. You can also increase and decrease the gain as well, which is basically changing the volume. I always recommend having the limiter because it's going to stop things from peaking too high. In other words, if you have some drums and the drums are really loud and obnoxious, if you don't have a limiter, then it can make the drums sound distorted and clippy. So it's always good to have a limiter in there. Yeah. Cool. So that's one of the first things you got to know when you open a studio. It's always going to come with a limiter by default, which is quite useful. So the next thing when it comes to producing music is obviously having a selection of sounds. Music is usually split into two elements: drums and what'd you say? Drums and harmonies, right? So the drums having the background of the harmonies. Claps and shit, and then you'll have some kind of harmony in the background, some kind of sound um, that's playing. Give you a quick example. Let's do this one. So don't worry about what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing you that, like, this would be an example of like, this would be like the harmony or the song or the chords, if you will. And then you would throw like some drums on it. And you do whatever you want. But this is like a bad example. I'm just sort of giving you like the general template of music. And what's convenient with FL Studio Producer Edition is that it comes with an 808 kick. I was just using. It comes with a clap, hi-hats, and snares, and you'll be surprised. Like, you can make some pretty decent stuff with this. Right. So this is your channel rack. Okay, and the channel rack basically is a looper. Right. So imagining that you had like one of those to the MPCs, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. MPCs. Yeah, one of these things, yeah. And then basically you just have something going on loop, right? Just looping over and over and over again. This is essentially what the channel rack is. So if you can literally insert notes. We'll just keep looping over and over again when this little thing here reaches the end. Yeah. You can just click things in and out with the same, so left click, left click, left click, or you can right click, which will just add and remove them respectively. And then if you right click your various instruments, you can actually like fill in automatically, which saves you time, especially like with things like hi-hats and stuff like that. So I'll give you examples. That's pretty simple. Then you can obviously throw in like a snare. You can layer the snare on with a clap. You can change the velocity. Basically, when you play a piano, like sometimes you'll strike notes really hard, and sometimes you'll strike them like nice and soft and easy. Let me give you an example. Let me get my. So sometimes you'll strike a note real hard, right? Like, boom. But sometimes you'll strike it real soft. Alright, so that's velocity. Yeah. And you can change the velocity of something by going into the graph editor, go to the velocity, and then you can change like how hard you want something to come in. And you can see what the default value is just here. The default value is like just an inch above. So see it's about 80, 79. And the lower the velocity, the lower the sound. So now this kick here will barely come in. So you can't hear it. Put it back to default-ish. It can just be a rough estimate. You know, don't have to be exact. And you can just click this to get rid of it. So you can change the velocities. It works really well with hi-hats as well. You can make these sort of rolling hi-hats. So now the hi-hats will kind of have a variety to their volume. You can also do the same with panning. So you can make it so that things will sound different in each ear, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. So it's gonna sound interesting. Like the hi-hats going into various directions in your headphones. There's other things like swing. Basically, swing is just like adds a little bit of swagger to it. Usually don't use swing because it offsets when the drums come in and it can kind of offshoot the melody a bit, but you can add a little bit of swing. I'll show you what it sounds like 100%. It's actually kind of hard to detect it. Usually when you put it up, you can really hear it, but maybe the swing's just not working today. But anyway, yeah, if the swing's working on your door, what it's gonna do is it's gonna make things come in at different times, giving it a little bit of like randomness. Excuse me. I got a bit ill, so sorry if you can hear that. Yeah, so you have a nice little drum melody going, but obviously, if you're making a song, you're gonna want some kind of chord, some kind of piano, maybe something that brings it alive a bit. So that's where plugins come in. And this is where you go down the FL Studio rabbit hole. Because what you're going to be doing is you're going to just be hunting down plugins for like the rest of your life, trying to find the most unique and like interesting sounds you can, basically, and that will just become your life. So FL Studio comes with its own set of plugins that are free, and they're all absolutely brilliant. If you know how to use plugins, you will never have to buy any plugins. Most plugins are synthesizers, right? So these are all called synthesizers, hence why they have the word synth in it. Yeah, and these all generate sounds. Yeah, so let's open up Sakura. Put a preset on it. Let's do. That sounds dope. use that. It's pretty simple. The next thing that is very important, obviously, if you want to make chord progressions and stuff like that, is the piano roll, which I just showed you. So the piano roll is just here. You just right click on your sound like you would if you wanted to add in like various things onto the looper. You right click it and you just go into your piano roll, right? Little click here. And this will bring up the piano, and you can just put various things and press play. You can kind of see what it does, right? When you press play, it's going to play the notes according to the pitch that you put the note at. Add a bit of bass to it. So yeah, this is where you can find your sounds, right? And there's loads of different sounds here, see? I can already assume that this may not be enough for you. You want more, right? So what you can do is you can assign your synthesizer, your generator, whatever's generating you these harmonies, you can assign it to a portion of the mixer. This is your mixer here. I've showed you it before. This is where the limiter is located. Obviously, we have the master here, which is affecting the entire mix. On the first mix, we have our kick. Yeah. The second mix, we have clap. Yeah, this is the clap coming in here. On the third, we have the hi-hat, and we can see this. Okay, hi-hat 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And then the fourth, we have the snare. So this is where the snare starts. But we can put the our generator on number 5. Yeah, so it's on number 5 now. So now it's going to play from number 5, which means that we can actually assign various effects to it. So let's put some reverb on it. Reverb, you can just click this on the drag down menu. It's got to cough a bit. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so if you click down here, you'll see all of the plugins that you have. And FL Studio comes with default plugins. You can set how you want it to look. I have it on categories, so it gives it in these various categories here. But you can put it on simple, it'll look completely different, and tree will also look completely different. But for me, categories always seems to work the best. Then I have reverb just right here. You can see delay / reverb. Boom, throw some reverb on it. So what you can do, because you might want to really sort of isolate the sound and see what it sounds like on its own with the reverb and without it, you can click these things to enable the other ones. So let's disable the snare, the hi-hat, the clap, and the kick. And let's see what it sounds like with and without the reverb. It's a bit hard to tell the difference. So what we can do is we can make the reverb more pronounced by increasing the wet. So dry is the sound itself. Wet is the sound after processing. Okay, so the sound after processing is in reference to the reverb. So let's bring it all the way up. You can see I'm enabling it and disabling here. all these little settings here are things that you start to become quite familiar with the more you work with it. But for now, just get comfortable with the fact that wet is how much reverb is being used of the this how it sounds after processing. So how reverby it is. Dry is just the original sound and how much you want that to come in. This is input basically, and this is output. So I have max reverb right now. And you can tick around with the settings, but I always recommend just like choosing the various presets to go with Cathedral, for instance. Cool. So we have a nice sound. Then what you can obviously do is you can start modulating your other sounds. So we have a kick, but we want the kick to be a bit punchier. So we can just go into the kick and give it a bit of a boost. What we can also do is we can go into our effects. You all have this one as well. It's called a it's called distortion. Okay, and it's called Blood Overdrive. It's a sub plugin on FL Studio Producer Edition. You will have it. Blood Overdrive is a distorter. Basically, it's very cool. A distorter basically applies. I think it's a form of frequency modulation, but I can't exactly remember. But I believe, in principle, what it's doing is it's multiplying the sound by itself, basically, which can add some very interesting sounds or interesting effects. Sorry. So let's open up Blood Overdrive. You don't have to know. You don't really have to know how all this works. All you have to know is that the more you increase the distorter, the more punchy and interesting your kick will be. So let's hear it without it. And then we're gonna increase and decrease it to see if we can tell the difference. Pretty cool. Now, obviously, we have other drums as well. For instance, we have the clap. But let's make the clap more pronounced and reverby, so it feels like the clap is happening in some kind of spacey environment. Because right now, it just sounds like the clap is happening in a studio that has those little pylons which nullify the sound. It's computerish. It comes in and out. We need it to sound like it's in a room. Therefore, that's what reverb is for. So let's add a little bit of reverb. Perfect. Sounds much better already. What we can also do is add a little bit of a okay, so you can get your delay going. Right, so delay is basically like hello, hello. Okay, it's pretty simple. Throw a delay in. It looks scary, but you can just choose presets. Okay, you can choose whatever preset you want. Let's go for ping pong. And some pretty simple settings are like level, how much it's happening. Stereo is basically like how spacious the sound is. Pan is which ear it goes to. Here's your wet, which is the how pronounced this is going to be in general. So after processing, all right. So this is how much delay you're going to actually hear. Sweet. Now let's say you really like an effect you've done, and you like how it sounds, you don't want to do the same thing for a different effect. Like I want to put this on the kick, or sorry, the snare, which is number 4. But I don't want to go through the whole thing of having to do the same thing again. All you need to do is just go on the drop down where save preset as is. You see the little mouse arrow, you can just click and drag it onto the number you want. Okay, so now I've moved the reverb, and let's move the delay as well to number 4. Let's turn the echo and snare down a bit. And for the hi-hats, let's just give it a little bit of reverb. Then we can just grab the same reverb again. Put it on the hi-hats, just like that. What else we can do is you can give the hi-hat has a bit more rhythm. Let's see what it sounds like altogether. Sounding pretty dope. Now, I love bass. I love bass in sounds, and bass is probably one of the most easiest things to do because you can just find a preset for it. Oh, sorry, I had to cough a bit. Yeah, so let's open up Sakura again and see if it has any basses. If it doesn't, we can just find basses elsewhere. That's perfect. You can just grab, you can go to where you've already drawn the piano roll. You can control click and drag. So control left click and drag. Control C to copy. Pretty self-explanatory. Control V to paste. We'll paste it exactly where you copied it before. Let's isolate the sound by removing all these. So that's a really beefy bass. One thing that's interesting that you can do is you can accentuate certain sounds by changing the velocity. Basically, I would love it if this upper bass was in the background more, and what you can do is you simply highlight it and just make the velocity lower so it comes in at a lower volume. By highlighting it, you can only change it. And changing the velocity here, we were changing the velocity in the graph editor before, but we can actually change the velocity within the piano roll, which is very convenient. Let's assign it to a part of the mixer, number 6, and we can maybe put a little bit of distortion. One thing that's always good to check is your overall mix. You can go to your master, which is the entire song. Go into a random slot and just find the default EQ, which should be EQ. Where is it? Fruity Parametric EQ2, which is usually the best one to use. Click that. This is an EQ. It just basically allows you to modulate different frequencies of the sound. doing this, what you're looking for is you're looking for areas of your sound which are not, there's not a lot going on. What I can tell you is that when you remove the hi-hats, there aren't really any high pitches. There's lots of mid frequencies which are really nice. There's lots of low end, but there's not a lot of high end. And so we can try and find a high end at me. Okay, sorry about that. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a little bit of high end. When I say high end, what I mean is just sounds or harmonics that are in the higher frequencies. So like an octave up, maybe. So let's say that we're playing at C right now. I want to be playing at this is C4. I want something to be playing at C5. Yeah. So let's go back to our thingy. Let's add in another instance of Sakura, and let's find a preset that can sort of achieve that. Find a pad maybe. Oh, sorry. I was playing C5, not C4. Sorry. Because I only really want it to be in the high end, what we can also do is go and open up an EQ and go to mastering. It's important to actually know this. You can do this manually on this EQ. I can show you how to do that another time. But just for the basics, I really highly recommend that you memorize this. So go into your EQ, go into presets, go to mastering, and go to 20 to 18K cut. And basically, it's going to allow you to cut out frequencies really, really easily. These high pitched sounds, they tend to come in and out of the song. And with that in mind, let's finalize this by going into our song, click song. This is the song. The song is your playlist, which is right here. Okay, here's the mixer, here's the playlist, here's the channel rack, here's the piano roll. Playlist is how you can organize and structure a song. So you can change from the pattern, which is your channel rack, to the song, which is here. Yeah. This is these are your instruments, or your patterns rather. By default, they're all grouped together. Not good. What we can do is we can split them up by clicking split by channel, right? Now they're all separate. You can just click and put them in like that, see? Shift click to copy paste. Control click to highlight. Do that. And I'm gonna grab my base like this. And you get better and better at doing these kinds of things as you keep practicing, basically. It's a really sort of simple kind of four bar. Bring in the what's it called? The higher pitch sound a couple times. Just thinking. Let's see what it sounds like. One little mistake is that it's meant to do that twice. Something like that. Go. Then just typically like end it so like that. Now imagine that maybe you want your song to come in on a like on a quiet note, and then to just let it fade on its own. But you want it to start quiet, right? So what you can do is you can create automation clips. Automation clips basically any knob or parameter in FL Studio you can funk around with basically and change the values of whilst the song is playing in the playlist. Okay, so let's say there's a knob that you want to change in, for example, the overall volume of the song, which is in the master. So you can change how loud the song is, right? So if you click create automation clip, like so, and then come out of this, you can see that there is this strange thing. This is controlling the volume of the song. So you might guess that if you just bring this down, the song starts to get louder and louder very casually, or gradually rather. So I want the song to reach the fullness of its sound around here. And usually the default is 79 to 80. So right, so this is 79 right now. And this is 0. Sorry, it's got a cough. So yeah, this is 0. This is 79. This will be the FL Studio's default max volume, because FL Studio by default is not set to 100. It's set to 80. 100 is here. Okay. 100 is here. 80 is here. So now it comes in quietly. See? That's it. Now we have a song. You can just click File. You should probably be saving as you go, but let's just save it and say like YouTube. Yeah, save. And then you want to export your song, so you go to File, Export. Export it as usually WAV or MP3. Typically, people use MP3, but WAV tends to be high quality, but MP3 allows for compression. So if you export it as a MP3 file, you can compress it to a more respectable file size, which you can then share with your friends on Discord and things like that. You can compress it as a WAV file, and it allows you to do certain things as well. Like you can change like how the quality of the sound, and things like that. By making it really low, it'll kind of make it bit ratey, kind of like an old school computer game that you used to play back in the day, because it's kind of a lofi vibe. You can change, what you prefer as well. You can export it as multiple things, so it's pretty useful. But just put it to the max, highest quality, everything at max, stereo of course, because you want the sound to fill your speakers. High quality for all plugins, stable maximum polyphony. Yeah, leave the miscellaneous alone. Everything should be fine. Just click start. There you go. Then it will save into your documents, image line, data, FL Studio projects. Usually, you might have it elsewhere, but typically it's here, and it will save just under the file that you named it. And now it's playing here. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope you found it, helpful. Obviously just going through like the real sort of basic foundations of producing music on FL Studio. But most DAWs that you'll find, they have a similar workflow. It's not too difficult when you start to get the hang of it, but I'd recommend just following along this video as you try to make your first song. Do similar things, use similar plugins, and see what you can come up with it. Yeah. All right.